there are Kenyans who pay 10% interest daily. What does that translate to in a year? You will calculate the numbers, right? So, why we rolled out the Hustler Fund was for three fundamental reasons. And that is why we called it the Financial Inclusion Fund. It was not supposed to compete with banks. It wasn't meant to replace credit in banks. It was meant to correct a market failure. That there are people who banks and financial lenders cannot touch even with the longest pole that you can find. But they exist. They are not included in the financial system, and they need support. So we rolled out the Hustler Fund to attend and to include these micro entrepreneurs. You know, people who sit in offices that have air conditioning, speaking from Nairobi, in posh hotels, don't think 500 shillings matters to anybody, because they don't understand the hassles of small people. They don't understand what goes on in real Kenya, down there, where 500 shillings can make somebody earn a living, be able to put food on their table, and be able to go about their businesses. So, what has the Hustler Fund achieved? We had three reasons why we rolled out the Hustler Fund. It was supposed to correct a market failure, which we did. We have removed 7 million Kenyans who were blacklisted in CRBs as a first step. We have now data of 26 million Kenyans. An exercise that would take, research, capacity building, those people called consultants. It would cost millions of shillings, hundreds of millions, to try and put this together. We have data on the credit behavior of 26 million Kenyans. We have 2 million Kenyans who wake up every morning to borrow money from the Hustler Fund. You should look at the dashboard of the Hustler Fund to know what is going on. We have now 650,000 Kenyans whose credit behavior has enabled them to progress into what we are calling bridge loan. Now they can borrow up to 150,000 without any collateral. The only collateral they have is their credit behavior, how they have behaved over the last 1 year. And my intention was to create another collateral system away from the traditional collateral of having a logbook or having a title deed or having an asset. Today, under the Hustler Fund, your credit behavior becomes your collateral. It becomes what licenses you to borrow the next bigger amount of money. 650,000 Kenyans are now in the bridge category. We have credit rating history of 26 million Kenyans. And we now have institutionalized another credit, another collateral mechanism that is not a title deed, that is not a logbook, but your credit ratings is what enables you to access. And for your information, banks now are beginning to absorb the people who have come through the Hustler Fund, because the banks can now look at their credit rating records and know that these are good borrowers. They may not have a title deed, they may not have a logbook, but they are good borrowers and they are well-behaved business people. So I want to persuade my good friends, you know, the people who talk from Nairobi. They talk to us from posh hotels, you know. They have money from this NGO and that NGO and the other one. Please, there are Kenyans who today have a mechanism for them to borrow money. And for your information, these small people who borrow 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, they have mobilized 5 billion shillings in savings over the last 3 years. 5 billion shillings in savings. There are people who would have wanted to save 20, 30, 40, 50 shillings a day. They did not have a mechanism on where to save without going into a place where their money could be lost. Now they have a mechanism under Hustler Fund that has the backstopping of the government of Kenya. They know their money is safe. And if they have mobilized 5 billion shillings in savings, micro, very small enterprise people who borrow 100, 500, 1,000 shillings, they do not deserve the condemnation